Hello, Swirlheads. It's Greg Allison with Green Greg's. Almost made channels now. Guys, did Israel do something really crazy? Did they attempt it? Did the Russians pop back with something just as crazy? There's been a lot of claims, a lot of counterclaims, and some of it is just off the charts. But it's by individuals that have been supposedly respected, although I got to tell you that both sides are probably wrong to a large degree, at least in what they're saying about what they're saying. So we're going to get all into that, guys. So what it really boils down to is Pepe Escobar. He's a well-known journalist, very well-reputed journalist, but he made a crazy claim, and it was refuted by another person who's supposed to be an expert. He was a weapons inspector, supposed to be an expert in weapons systems, but his refutal of it is also off base. So, and there's been a lot of other crazy claims made with regards to the incident of what went down when Iran was hit by Israel to some little degree, apparently. Now, we're going to stay out of the direct discussions of raw. Treat that like we treat Nug on this channel, flip that word around. So we're going to discuss that a bit, and we're going to go into we're going to give technical explanations for this stuff. Some other channels have made some hits at it. We're going to nail it. Guys, there have been craziness going on with regards to stories related to this event over the past several days, and a lot of it just didn't add up. Just to be quite frank about it, a lot of it just hasn't added up. Claims and counterclaims, and how each side has downplayed what went down. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but we're mainly going to focus on this Pepe Escobar story. And what it boiled down to is that, I'll just go straight in the screen share here. Bada bing, bada bang, bang. All right. And we may stop to share it just to have some other discussions. I'm going to show you some stuff also on Google Earth. So Pepe Escobar has written a post, according to, this is Scott Ritter. And I know a lot of people got a lot of issues and problems with Scott Ritter from several different sectors. So I don't even want much get into that. Some people, if he's done what's accused of him, that's heinous. Some people say it's set up. I'm not getting that. This is all about claims and counterclaims. And he's at least supposed to be a weapons systems expert. And his counterclaim is a bit wrong too here. But anyway, he said that Israeli F-35 carrying a N weapon, shall we say, was taken down over Jordan by a Russian fighter. Now, I have a hard time swallowing that. But I also have a hard time swallowing the refutal, because the refutal is also wrong. Let me hit the, let me see what's in the chat room here, guys. So we're going to go in the news. I will go into the chat more toward the end. We're going to go through the news first, but we're going to do it in such a way that we're not covering things that YouTube normally bust me over. They don't like me talking directly about raw. Again, take that word and flip it around so you know what I'm talking about here. We got 57 in the room, pretty good for just 3 minutes of broadcasting here. So in any event, Scott Ritter said he respected Pepe as a journalist. He said his source is wrong. Well, that's probably true. But what I'm going to have to also take, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at what could an F-35 actually do, and could Russia actually go in and take one out. So we're just talking about the theory of it all here. We're not talking about the actual events, because I don't think these were actual events, but it may be related to actual events. So we're in the fog of raw. Again, flip that word around for those just joining the channel. We are in the fog of deception, propaganda, and who knows what his source was, where he got it, probably from Russia, but maybe not, because if Russia had actually accomplished what is claimed here, taking out an F-35, oh, they'd be standing on the rooftops bragging about it and shouting about it, because that's one of the reasons that I have a hard time accepting this, that they would be so proud that they had accomplished that they would be all over the place about it. But that's not happened, unless there was other reasons for them not to do that. So that's why we'll actually go into looking at it. But to be quite frank about it, this is what Scott Ritter claimed. He said Israel will never take such a precipitous action. He said that not only would it provide public acknowledgement of their in-weapon capability, I'm trying not to use trigger words here, thereby putting Israel in open violation of existing agreements between it and the U.S. He said it would also put Israel in violation of the 1968 Outer Space Treaty. I absolutely disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. If they put it in space, yeah, but that's not even capable for what the systems are doing. Prohibiting the deployment of and use of weapons in space and the Biden administration's recent and admonishments in this regard. He goes on to say, moreover, the scenario describes makes no sense in terms of the characterization of the weapons involved, both in terms of the alleged Russian Israeli engagement and what Israel would hope would happen in regards to an EMP. So I kind of agree with him. It's nonsensical report, but Scott Ritter, you also make nonsense. Okay, let's talk about it. So I'll show you a little bit. The F-35 is capable of achieving 50,000 feet. That's pretty much its flight ceiling, 50,000 feet. 50,000 is 5,280 feet in a mile. And so when you look at it, what that comes out to is 9.469696969, repeating 6 nines. You could round it off to 4.7 or 4.697, however you'd want to round it off. But guys, I just got to tell you this, that that's a long way from outer space. And even if the F-15 lobbed this thing up, it's not going to make no more than about 71,000 feet total. And there's a lot of issues. We're going to go into that in a little bit, but far, far, far from the outer space treaty, where the internationally recognized line. Now, nobody else has mentioned this because most people in YouTube don't know space. That's why you come to me, guys. I know space. I know the outer space treaty. I know these treaties because I have fought these kind of treaties when I was chairman of the policy committee and later chairman of the executive committee, the CEO of the National Space Society. I've got years of experience with this, and I've been quoted by none less than Buzz Aldrin on this topic. So if Buzz Aldrin can quote me, then I might be worth listening to about this, okay? The international recognized line above which is space is 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers is 62 miles. 62 miles. That's like 3 times higher than even the balloons fly that I've been telling you guys about. So, so this whole thing is also from Ritter's side nonsense. We're not talking about the 1968 Outer Space Treaty by any regards. And furthermore, as you know, even at balloon altitudes, I have done quite a few videos talking about how the balloon would be a very effective EMP platform for EMP weapons, and how that could cover quite a large area on the ground. Well, if you're in the Mideast and you're trying to take out Iran, you don't want to take out your somewhat friendly Jordan and other neighboring countries. You actually want you'd want that device to be low, not in space. That's too high. It would broadcast too far and cause damage, probably even back to Israel, possibly. So definitely Jordan and other countries that are somewhat semi-allied with Israel. So this whole discussion of the 19 Outer Space Treaty is out of bounds. Now, you'd think somebody like Scott Ritter ought to know better than that, but obviously not. So he's not an EMP expert, and he's not an outer space expert, and he doesn't know the 1968 Outer Space Treaty, apparently. So I'm going to call Scott Ritter on the table, along with Pepe Escobar. Let's call them both out on the table. But something might have went down. There was something that did. But that's discussing raw directly. I might do that later on Swivelhead News, probably not tonight, maybe tomorrow. We know some of the things that actually probably took place over there, but that would get me a hit on this channel. So I'm trying to keep this channel from getting taken down. So I'll be careful what I talk about. But this is where the news in and of itself, because it made quite a stir. It made a lot of buzz for the past couple of days through some of the news cycle, but nobody has really reported it like you're going to get it here on Green Griggs. So if Israel, now his first statement here, if Israel was to take such an action, you'd think maybe they would hold out until they wanted to really, really Rodney Middleton, thank you, sir. Yeah, he is claiming. Thank you, Rodney. Well, both of them are full of it. Thank you so much, Rodney, for the great super chat. All right, so it's a fact of the matter that, and thank you, Michelle, for posting my channel on my website, the link where people can donate directly. That way, I'll check it before we're done here to see what we've collected in that regard. But guys, so yeah, it would be if Israel's going to do something like that, you think if they're making if they're admitting they got this stuff, that they would do it in the context of full use of such devices, maybe. But bear in mind also, the use of EMP is regarded, EMP weapons, even if it is a N weapon, is generally considered, especially by the Russians. The late Dr. Peter Vincent Pry often taught us that it was in the Soviet doctrine and Russian doctrine following that an EMP weapon, even if it was an N weapon, was considered to be electronic warfare because it destroys electrical devices, electronic devices, not people directly. Never mind that you lose over 9/10 of your population in the ensuing months, but it directly, immediately, it doesn't take out anybody. So it could be that either side or even our side might use such weapons at some point in time. We don't have specific EMP weapons developed in the United States, although Russia has developed EMP super weapons, China has, and Russia admitted to Dr. William Graham that they had those weapons. It could put out 200 volts per meter, which far exceeds the hardening specs I've showed you in a previous EMP video I did here on this channel, and that, in fact, they admitted that they gave that technology to North Korea. Now, an EMP weapon isn't necessarily your biggest and heaviest weapon. If you want to maximize EMP, you put less shielding on that weapon, and so it might be a little lighter weight. See, the whole issue with going off of F-35 is also going to be weight, especially if you're trying to lob something high. And then you got to get away from it. So there's a lot of technical problems. We'll go on that a little bit more in a bit. A lot of technical problems with trying to stage an event like this. So I don't see anybody trying to just lob a bomb from an F-35. Now, maybe if they had a missile, but a missile has got to also carry that heavy nuclear warhead, but it wouldn't be as heavy. And I've shown you guys in my EMP balloon videos how you could really get by with lightweight weapons. I actually used an existing ICBM warhead as an example. There are lighter weight ones like what we put in our cruise missiles. I could have went with one of those warheads. I would just be in more middle of the road when I made that presentation. So it's doable that you could put one of these on some kind of missile and fire it, and the missile would give it extra altitude, but you don't want a whole lot you just want to be able to get away from it with your fighter jet. Now, could Russia have made an intercept? Well, technically, yes. But like I said, they probably would have been standing on the rooftops crowing about it had they pulled this off. So unless there was some bigger overarching reason not to, and only because there might be some bigger overarching reason not to, we would go into this and discuss it to some degree here. But I kind of agree this is nonsense. But Scott Ritter's statement on that. But Scott Ritter also talked nonsense here, so they both are full of it. And nobody else will give you that perspective other than me here, because I know EMP. I know the weapons. I know what the 1968 Outer Space Treaty is and where the von Karman line is. Believe you me, because I shot at it with my Catch Prize rocket. Oops. Guys, it's springtime. If you've not got your planting supplies, your garden seeds and all that, it's a good time to do it. If you would help me, if you'd use my links that are posted in my channel to go to True Leaf Market and to Eden Brothers and go in and look for their heirloom seeds. Because if you want to be a prepper, you want to you want seeds that you can harvest and replant, because there won't be any stores anymore. So go through these. They got heirloom seeds, both of them. They both have non-GMO seeds. So that's their specialties. They got large seed selection between the two of them. So I highly encourage you to check these out. All kinds of supplies. You can also do microgreens, which I'll have an affinity toward. But more on that later. So let's get back to the news part here. So we do know that the F-35A has been officially certified to carry a bomb, an N bomb. We also know that Israel has the F-35I. The F-35I is like a F-35A modified by the Israelis to enhance it however the Israelis chose to do so. I don't have all the specs on that, but we know it is probably at least as capable in this regard as an F-35A. So we also know that some of these bombs could be, they could be, you know, the lighter weight ones like you put on the heads of a cruise missile. You know, a lot of cruise missiles are capable of carrying a warhead for that. So, well, let's go on. We won't go into depth on that because I don't want to get in trouble on this channel, this video. You know, an EMP happens. The E1 waveform of the EMP. There's three waveforms of EMP: E1, E2, and E3, which I've talked about quite a number of times in this channel. E1 is what is a shortwave form that can take out your electronic devices. E2 is like lightning, and E3 is a long wave form that also is what the sun puts out in the CME is an E3. Sun just puts it like the Keratin event that caused frying of the telegraph station. Some of your so-called protected devices out there only cover a spectrum of E1 and don't provide all the shielding called for in the military spec that I showed you guys recently in that EMP video. I'm not going to go all into that, but tonight. So we've covered that before. You can see that in those videos. But essentially, you know, this is a light matter interaction, and it's also used in a photovoltaic effect. But when you get gamma rays, it's particularly effective when you're above the altitude of a fair bit of the ionosphere. It's super effective there too in terms of enhancing the waveforms. Now, but I've also shown you guys how it would work perfectly well from a balloon altitude of about 20 miles up, or a little bit lower even. But 20 miles is still a very effective EMP altitude. But bear in mind, an N weapon does generate EMP even when it's detonated on the ground. It's just not as powerful a waveform. It doesn't radiate as far because the line of sight is not as far. So to get patterns where you're covering a lot of area like this, you're going to be real high up. This is for, you know, a scenario where the burst is at 250 miles. At 250 miles up, you can cover the entirety of the United States. Well, that would be more than the entire Mideast. So you definitely don't want to be up in outer space and orbit. And neither do you want to be over the von Karman line either, because that would cover too much area in the Mideast. So there's no way Israel would want to violate the von Karman line if they were trying to put an E attack upon Iran. So Iran, I said Iran, I didn't. I try not to say that because that's not the correct pronunciation. A lot of people use it. So now just to give you a little bit, the F-35A, this is its characteristics. It's got, as I mentioned, let's see, a service ceiling of 50,000 feet. And it's got a max speed of 806 miles an hour. Now I'll use that and I'll show you some results of that in a little bit. I might just skip over to that. Where's it at? I got it. Here we go. So if you wanted to lob a projectile from it, just if you can go in here to this, there's a projectile motion website here where you can put in initial velocity, and you can put in the initial velocity of the projectile, the angle of launch, and the initial height. And basically it goes up to maximum height of 71,000 feet, which is not as high as a balloon would go. But then how are you going to get away from it? How are you going to get away? Your plane might also be susceptible to EMPs. And if you got a detonation, it's only 20,000 feet away. And you've only got a flight time of 103 seconds. You know, guys, that's just a little over a minute. That's under 2 minutes. How do you get away from it? How do you get, yeah, sure, the plane would dive like a Falcon to try to get maximized speed and distance. It would be going faster then. But how do you get away from it? I don't see it unless you put it on a missile. But just in terms of lobbing a dead weight, that's as best as you're going to get. So let's go back over here. There are other choices available, though. There is this CHAMP system here that we have. The United States developed something they call CHAMPs, and it's let's see, where the heck's it at? It's the Counter Electronic High-Powered Microwave Missile Project, CHIMP. And what this is basically an air-launched cruise missile fitted with electromagnetic pulse cannon that sends out a beam of high-power microwave energy. So this thing started in 2012, was when they first started testing it. The program actually started before that. I remember reading about this for years when they started developing it. So yeah, they hit the ground. So we'll look more at that in a little bit. So this is a weapon that for some reason it said the United States has made available perhaps to use against Iran's nuclear facilities. And why would they do that? Because they can penetrate the ground with this. This would be a part of the E1 spectrum, guys. This would be E1 type radiation that it would be generating. So it's not going to be E3. It's not going to be too much of an E2. This would be E3. So it would be picked up. Now, it would be picked up by the leads and the cables going into the ground. I don't know, it might get a little Compton scattering, and it might could create, I don't know, you might get a little E3, but I don't see that. I think it's going to be all E1. It's high, it's a microwave, is a high frequency. So not as high as gamma rays, but it's still going to be a high frequency. So this can disable electronics. And the whole reason they're using this is, I thought I had it highlighted here. Maybe it's another article. Let's skip over here. Bang. Here's a CHIMP missile right here. If they said would fry Iranian nuclear equipment. And they first started testing on the B-52 bomber, but apparently this is something the F-35 can carry. Besides underground bunkers and command centers, HPM can quickly disable fighter planes, tanks, ships, missile systems, according to U.S. authorities, officials. Yeah, there's something else in here I was wanting to show you where it is specifically cited. I thought I had it highlighted, but anyway, probably did. I probably knocked it off the highlight. Here it is. The key advantage of these microwave weapons is they can penetrate buried bunkers and command centers through electrical and communications connections, disabling electronics without causing structural damage or loss of life. The beauty of the HPM weapon missile is that the microwave beam can penetrate bunkers where facilities are hidden without harming humans inside. That's a bit redundant, but so that's the claim. As you know, when the Soviets did that test 184 over Kazakhstan, I've mentioned that before, it actually took out a power line that's very deep underground running within Kazakhstan. And that kind of surprised them, but that weapon wasn't necessarily modified to do that, but that's what happened. That surprised them. So here's what your CHIMP missile looks like. I think this more looks like a bomb. I don't see much propulsive element to it anywhere. That does have wings, so it will definitely glide. So this is some Wikipedia. Talk about it being used in this cruise missile here. So they have set for cruise missiles. They can carry a cruise missile. That's a big cruise missile. That's more of a B-52 scale cruise missile, but there are smaller ones that maybe the F-35 could carry. I'd have seen the F-35 listed. Here we go, F-35 Lightning. They have developed it where it could be used on F-35 Lightning and even unmanned aerial vehicles. So these CHIMP weapons definitely could be carried by an F-35. So that might have been what could have been or could in the future be on an F-35 that Israel might take over if they chose to do that. Now, this is a U.S. weapon system. If they got it from the U.S. So that's something that's not going to take out your aircraft necessarily unless the waveform gets it, but you won't have to worry about a blast wave, at least getting away from the blast. So that's the news on that. All right. So again, my take on the whole thing is that I don't think it happened. It would be hard to get away from. If they did put a device like that, if it was an end weapon, they would definitely want to be able to get away from it. They probably want to, at least the champ weapons are going to cruise for some distance before it detonates. So I don't, even if you did shoot it straight up, see, that's the maximum, get the maximum. You wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to lob at an angle just because you'd be trying to get over Iran, and they wouldn't want to go into Iranian airspace if they could avoid it. They're not deep into it with those fighter jets, probably. Because for one, without refueling, they wouldn't get back home. So it would be a shorter range attack. So if you're just joining what we're talking about is a claim that Pepe Escobar made that's been refuted by Scott Ritter, but I refute both of them here because what I agree with Scott Ritter that this whole thing is nonsensical reporting. What I disagree with is his statement that it would be a violation of the 1986 Outer Space Treaty because it's not in outer space. It's not above the von Karman line. Now, there have been some intercepts outside the von Karman line. Initially, when the Yemenis were firing at the Houthis, firing at Israel, that was the first actual space battle ever fought, where they used the aero missiles to take out the Houthi missiles. So that's the case there, guys. So what do y'all think about that? I'm telling you that they would not even want to detonate anything that high because it would take out too much area inside the Middle East. That would not be the objective. They would want something much lower. So I don't see this. I don't see that. I think Canadian Prepper did a fair assessment of it, but you know, I'm the guy telling you about the von Karman line and the Outer Space Treaty and how that pertains and why this isn't valid. And you'll get that uniquely from me. I've not heard anybody else talk that, but I'm just putting it out there because I know what that is. So we're going to kind of change the topics here for a little bit. We may come back and just talk about I may stop the sharing here and we'll talk a little bit about the overall deception regards of that event that took place. You know, besides this here, I mean, there was just some weird stuff, guys. And I may show articles over later on Silverhead News. Not tonight, it's too late to switch channels. But in case y'all don't know, House passed aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And so I think this is $60 billion in aid, most of it going to Ukraine without any border provisions in it. So a lot of folks in the GOP are less than happy with Mike Johnson over that. So, but there's some real risk with what has been put out here. And the risk is that there's three elements of that that's going to cause a lot of consternation. One of them, it's not just the funding for Ukraine, it's the fact that we're using money that was held in other banks seized from the Russians to fund Ukraine. That's taking one person's money and turning it around against them. There's two effects of that. One is that it's going to further weaken our banking system. The Western banking is going to play it in the hands of the BRICS. It's trying to take out the dollar. That's why they really set about in BRICS to do economic warfare against the U.S. dollar. And so that's going to impact our banking, our SWIFT system, and perhaps be part of bringing our dollar down, which can really crash our economy. So you don't take somebody's money like that. But Russia is using that to say, hey, look, you're seizing our money, you're seizing our assets, so you need to pay back. That's where they're saying, hey, they'd take Alaska back because that means that, you know, if we can seize something like that, then it's within their rights to countertake. And then name some other states and things that they'd like to take. Well, I don't see that happening, but that's the basis of those kind of claims. So that's, yeah, Alaska. So he's been, if it's true that he did that, then that's a heinous thing. I'm not defending Scott Ritter at all on that occasion. Some people say he was set up. I don't know. I just brought him in on this discussion because whether that's true or not, he is supposedly a weapons systems expert. He was the one that took on Pepe Escobar and first in news media, but his claims were wrong. So with regards to the 1968 Outer Space Treaty. So I'm busting both of them. I'm busting them both. So whether you like Scott Ritter, you don't. Some people like him, some hate him. That's not where I'm trying to go with this channel. I'm just trying to tell you that he was wrong. In spite of his weapons systems expertise and years as a weapons system inspector that he had before he went wherever he went. But anyway, yeah, he's been pretty much frocked or defrocked or whatever. But there's still a lot of people listen to him. There's a lot of people still listen to him. And whether you choose to do that or not, all I'm saying is he was wrong on that account. So I'm just looking at it from a purely technical sense. So, but again, get back to this bills that was passed. For one, there's the season of the money. And that's just going to cause more consternation with Russia. It's going to, Russia's really mad over that. Of course, they're getting mad over a lot of stuff. The aid's going to make them mad if it wasn't seizing their own money. And also the TikTok thing was in there. So that's going to tick China off, but maybe they got it coming because TikTok is a spy platform, in my humble opinion, and it's too widely used. So yeah, I'm not trying to defend Scott Ritter in any way here. Damn Prepper dogged on Ritter hardcore today. Okay, good. He had it coming to him. But yeah, check out Canadian Prepper's video on it. He puts out good content. But I'm just letting you guys know that this is some of his counterclaims there are invalid. So I got to say they're BS too. So we got BS piled on BS. Anyway, guys, so this is a controversial thing that got passed there. I'm sure Zelensky is happy, but I still don't think time is on Ukraine's side. It's just going to buy them more time, but it's also, they should be forced to negotiate a peace treaty, in my humble opinion, because I still don't see how they're going to win. Even with more money, because you can't make new Ukrainians. Attrition is still going to take them out of the long term. If Russia has the will to stay in the game, in the long term, they have more people and more funding, more factories. I don't see any way that there's more news too. The French put some people there in Ukraine apparently, and U.S. is talking now about sending them more advisors. So we're on a slippery slope, guys, to have a NATO directly involved in that. That could get very dangerous. And how it can get very dangerous. See, what is this? Join our, oh Lord. Yeah, maybe I should go to the other article first. Anyway, this article here is talking about just the nature of WW3. It says we're already in WW3, and it's not like the WW1 and WW2. It's maybe more like WW1. And the reason you don't see the large sweeping armies yet, and maybe won't for some time or ever in this conflict, is because if you can be seen, you can be taken out. With the modern drone technology and the weapon systems we have today, large gatherings of troops tend to get eliminated real fast. And so this whole thing of drones and missiles is the new face of this war. And that's what you've got to watch out for. Which also means it's maybe got a better chance of escalating now that the Rubicon's been crossed between Iran and Israel, especially the U.S. talking about that champ weapon. Why is the U.S. talking about that? Why is the U.S. putting that out there? Is it because the U.S. does plan at some time to get involved with the Iranian situation? Why is that being released? Why is that being talked up? See, like I said, we're on a slippery slope, guys. And what I worry about is that if the Iranian regime fears that they're being taken out in part because of the United States, they may activate their sleeper cells here in this country, and that would be devastating. That would be catastrophic beyond your comprehension, because they can do more damage and taking out our grid than most people can imagine. with just small groups of people. It's too easily done. Our grid is very vulnerable. So, and here's this article's talking. Oh my God, I got all these anything. Miscalculation led to escalation and clash between Israel and Iran. We're talking about how each side is miscalculated and what the other side would do. It's like when Israel supposedly hit the consulate, that they didn't realize how forceful Iran would respond, according to some sources. Now, I kind of take issue with that. I think they wanted that. But there is a lot of miscalculations on both sides. But there's also a lot of downplay here. I'll have to come back to that in a little bit. I'll have to stop the share here in a minute. Yeah, I think maybe it's time to stop sharing and talk. Hello. So let's go to Google Earth and just look at some of what would have been involved in a Russian retaliation, or Russia taking it out an F-30. Well, what did I do? Whatever I did wasn't right. Here we go. Let's try it again. There we are. Now you're looking at Google, Oith. We just passed Oith Day, and now we're Googling Earth. All right, guys, there's two air bases that might be suspected air bases that Russia would launch from. This is also an international airport up here and an air base. This air base here is closer, and it's a more hardened air base. It's been attacked a couple times. The United States, I think even Trump attacked it with Tomahawk missiles early in his administration. The Israelis attacked it back in 2022. But, you know, the planes are in bunkers there. It's a pretty hardened base. And Syrians actually have MiGs there. And so it wouldn't be a stretch for the Russians to put some MiGs there and fly out of there. So this would definitely, you know, it was said it was taken out over Jordan. So that's definitely within MiG range. That's definitely within range of the MiGs. And if they were flying from here, they would be coming out to tackle the Isfahan base, probably. I saw another channel thinking that they would be going after Tehran, which would be way up here. That don't even make sense that they'd be going. Tehran's way over here. They'd be going after this base. So here, Isfahan. That's where the nuclear facilities are at. And there's some other things that apparently did hit there that's been downplayed. We can cover in that video later. See, Tehran's way up here. So I don't think they were aiming for Tehran at all. Thank you, Michelle, for that link. I will look at my PayPal shortly and see if somebody's availed themselves to that tonight. Got 145 in the room. That's wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining here tonight. Now, it's possible that Israel would like to fly over a good bit of Iraq. I don't know how far they would actually wanted to penetrate the airspace, because they'd had to been refueled. They couldn't get all the way into Iraq and do any damage and get back. So they'd wanted something they could lob over. So it had to be a missile, or it had to be something that the chimp devices, you know, they can put it in cruise missiles, but it had to be a small enough cruise missile the F-35 could carry. So I don't believe this happened. I just flat don't believe it happened. Now, it's within the realm of possibility. But had it happened, I think Russia would be crowing about it, unless there was some other extenuating circumstance that they just don't want to talk about, and nobody else wants to talk about for some reason. Now, Israel certainly would not want to talk about losing F-35. The United States would not want to talk about it. But so, you know, that's just totally weird. But there's a lot of other weird stuff happened with this, guys. This whole thing has been strange. Greg, last night at 3 a.m. we had 6 transport planes heading to Elmendorf, landing or leaving. You say 2. Hey, Cowgirl in Arizona, how you doing? Good to see you in the house. Hopefully I'll be back out that way some in a couple of weeks, taking some stuff out there. So I'm having a hard time about it. Technically, it's feasible to launch a chimp device. I don't think you'd want to be carrying an end device on an F-35 unless it was assisted by a rocket or it was on a cruise missile. Now, that's also possible. It's not impossible, but I just don't think it's probable. I don't think it fits. what Israel would do at this point in time. And especially given that the United States has chimp weapons that they're thinking would take out the Isfahan base. Would they? How effective would they be? It depends on how well the bases are actually hardened. You know, like I said, I've shown you all the mill standard on that. We went through it in great depth in the last EMP video I did. So, I don't know, guys. I'm having a hard time swallowing this story. I think Pepe Escobar was wrong, but Ritter was also wrong. So all of his justification wasn't right. So it's an interesting story there. But what I'm showing you is that, yeah, the Russians could have got down here. The Israelis definitely could have got over Jordan, although Jordan did not want them overflying, reportedly. But that could just be optics for their own population. Remember, Jordan has a very, very substantial Palestinian refugee population, very substantial. In fact, I've worked with a couple of Jordanians in the past, and they were both their ancestors were Palestinian refugees. So there you have it. The target was allegedly, or should have allegedly, been over here at Isfahan. Although one of the other big channels that's got nearly 1 million subscribers, I'm not talking about Canadian Prepper, another one, was talking Tehran. I don't know why he would talk that. But anyway, guys, so that's, stop the share. That's the map. So technically there's some potential feasibility, but not with just a dumb bomb. You know, I would not, no way you just want to, that's what one of that other big channel was talking about. He's supposed to be a ex-Navy guy, weapon systems expert. He kind of blew that too. I'm not going to name his channel just because he didn't quite get it. But so I don't want to disparage on him. But, you know, the case is that if you're just trying to lob a bomb that could take you out your plane, you can't get in a ascent time is that short, you're not going to get away from it. You're just not going to escape it. That would be a mission you don't return from. And I don't think Israel wants to waste one of their precious F-35s on something like that. So I just don't see that. Again, like I said, it could have been they're landing. So they're getting ready to take stuff somewhere probably. Interesting. Stephen, I believe it's garbage in terms of the claims made. EMP itself is not garbage. That does happen. We know that from Starfish Prime and the Soviet 184 test over Kazakhstan. We know that it can really take out a lot of stuff. So it's happened. So it's been proven that what an EMP can do. Yes, yeah, it might do that. So that's the problem. It would also get Russian involved because Russia's claim they would defend Iran. So it could escalate very substantially. Now, champ weapon, would that be at the same level? What level of escalation would that take things to? And why are we talking about that? Why is our Defense Department making a big ballyhoo over having these champ weapons to take that could, and making a big case for how they could take out those facilities, those nuclear facilities? As you might know, Israel and the U.S. have done joint exercises practicing doing an operation to take out those facilities. The bunker busters probably are inadequate. Even the end versions of them, one of them that go boom real big, if you know what I mean. I'm trying not to wake up the algors that have no rhythm. I'm sure a human reviewer would view on my side. The problem is they review that stuff like days later, and nobody be watching the video by the time they remonetize it. So I've got to be careful what I say, just because the algors that have no rhythm, you know, have no judgment. They just look for words. Hey, this was bad. Zing, zing, zing. So I'm trying to keep this video out of trouble here. I don't know if I can succeed with that, but we will try. It's mighty hard because they want to demonetize just about everything I post. Jeez, especially if I talk raw. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the word raw, again, flip that word like we do the word nug, and you know what we're talking about. So I'm technically doing nothing that violates any of the standards, the community standards. I'm just giving you a theoretical case about claims and counterclaims and showing you why they're wrong. But this whole thing with what Israel did in their revenge was weird. because the first reports that came out, even in the Israeli news sources that I showed you previously, here on this channel, actually, and I think I might have followed up on Soilhead News, was like Jerusalem Post and the Times of Israel, both citing only ABC News and maybe later CNN. And if you went to ABC News and CNN, they were citing unnamed U.S. officials. So that's weird. And remember, I put up, even Al Jazeera was doing the same thing. It's like, why don't you have your own news source? Why don't you reporting this? Why are you citing these other sources? And so it made me highly suspicious about the whole thing. It's like, really? And then the Iranians came out and said later, first they said nothing happened. Then later said, well, it was just some little toy drones launched from within Iran itself. Now, we know that's not exactly true, too. Now, in retrospect, I'll go over that later on Soilhead News. That's getting a little too in depth with stuff that I'd get spanked for on this platform, on this channel. I'm trying to keep this channel from getting taken out. So I'm working real hard to stay within inside the community guidelines. Real hard. Far more. I mean, other channels can go far into this and talk ad nauseum and not have any problem. But boy, they slap me left and right for it. So I'm trying to be very careful here. When are you moving? Well, I'm trying to get this house sold. I've got a potential buyer. I don't know if he's real yet. Unfortunately, it involves a contract. It might tie me up for a few weeks, and if he's not real, it may be a problem. So I'm trying to discern what I'm dealing with there. So I'm kind of working that, guys. Live your life, Greg. We'll get to that a bit later in the stream. All right, so I'm just trying to bring you guys the theoretical aspects of this stuff, just talking weapon systems in general and a generality. I'm not talking anything that's comes close to community standards here. I'm being exceedingly careful not to go there. So, and I'm just talking about claims and counterclaims. That's all I'm talking about, not actual events. I'm going to keep out of that. So we'll do that on Soilhead News. That's why I moved a lot of my content there, and that's why if you want to see the latest news where I'm really breaking it down, you need to go to Soilhead News. But unfortunately, I still get 3 times more views on this channel than over there. And to get stuff out to the general public that's been following me for a long time, especially if it's real breaking news, I'll try to bring it on here, but I do so at some risk. I'm trying to keep my channel from getting taken out. That's very important. If I do, I can't bring you nothing, you know. So, so I got to be. I'm, you know, being on YouTube is like walking on thin ice, wearing cleats in an earthquake, with rounds falling all around you onto the ice. It's exceedingly difficult, more difficult for some of us for some reason I don't understand. Thank you, Live Your Life. Yes, and Michelle's been posting the links there. I will check that in a moment to see who's availed themselves to use that tonight before we get out of here, because I do want to give credit for those that contribute. So appreciate that. Anyway, so let's kind of, the whole thing is, but all that stuff that went down. So each side was really trying to deny things. Maybe they don't want to escalate yet. And it could be that Israel didn't want to escalate yet because they didn't have the full backing of the United States to do that. And I did show you articles earlier where the United States kind of made a swap, said, we'll give you money. And, well, they got aid coming at them now. We'll give you money, and we'll give you a green light to hit Rafah if you don't go over here heavy. Now, one article said not at all, but I saw another article that said limited. So there was 2 different claims on that. And what happened? Looks like it was limited, but maybe. Hey, Rodney, thank you again. Have a coffee on me. Well, I got some right here. I'm gonna have a sip right now on my Snoopy cup. It says chill out, and that's what we really need to do. Because there was a lot of people kind of panicked over this whole thing when it was going down, especially when all the EAMs were going out. And I didn't go there. For one, EAMs go out a lot. Now there was a case where somebody asked, and of course, one of those is this for real or is this an exercise? And Skymaster, whoever it was, Sky King, says it's for real, or he says it's not an exercise, something like that. And I thought that was breaking protocol. Frankly, I was surprised. Why would you discuss that on air? And so I was kind of of the opinion the whole thing was really a deception. The whole thing was a sleight of hand. Just and crying wolf, so that maybe if you cry wolf enough, that when you really want to do something, the other side's not paying as much attention. But that's also a reason why you shouldn't get too excited over those kind of events, the lots of EAMs and stuff, because we've been seeing a lot. And it seems like that kind of stuff is also escalating. Now, we probably were positioning forces just to be ready in case we were miscalculating or things made a turn for the worse. So it was probably just all preparatory. Or, hey, if Escobar was right, which I don't think it was, maybe they knew something was afoot and they wanted to be ready for that. Or maybe they thought because the Iranians had said that it would strike back so hard that they wanted to be ready for that should it transpire. But what happened there was quite limited. Iran also, they might want to eventually have a war, but they're not ready for that yet either. And I don't think, maybe they're just not ready for it at all, because they prefer to use their proxies as much as possible. But in either case, the Rubicon's been crossed between Israel and Iran. And that could lead to more of the same stuff in the not too distant future. We don't know yet. It might seem limited. It might be like that article I showed you about what's the true nature of WW3 now. A lot of drone strikes and stuff like that. You got to remember, even before all this, Israel and Iran have been in a hot Cold War for some time. There was a couple summers back, I did a video, I broke the news on it before anybody else started talking about it, because I got it through my EMP community, where there was just tons of bombings strange explosions going on all over Iran. I think it was a couple of Julys back. It was just like 24 of them or something like that, all within a day or two. Weapons factories and facilities, and we know that nuclear scientists have had a propensity to go to their maker prematurely quite often, seemingly with the assistance of the Mossad or people within Iran who were allied with them. You got to remember, there's most of the population of Iran don't like the current government that runs them. So there's a lot of unpopularity there, but they're in power because they've got a lot of money from China and even our own administration in its current form and its incarnation under the big O man, 4 years prior to the T man. It's a lot of money over there, and refused to recognize an attempted color revolution over there, whereas they supported them everywhere else, which is just highly suspicious. There's been a lot written about that over the past many years, and even recently. There's tons of articles about that, just tons and tons of articles about that coming out. So it's highly weird. It's just plain weird. I'm not going to get into that too deep here, maybe more so over on Silverhead News. Some things I might actually have to take the Rumble to talk about, but it's just a lot of stuff don't make general sense. I was almost of the opinion of wondering if anything at all had went down for a little bit. And I was wondering, who were they trying to deceive? Who was the deception being pulled on? It's just too weird. Too weird. That's one reason I didn't want to come out prematurely. It's like I already went out early enough, bringing you live cast and stuff, what we were seeing. But then I began to wonder, did any of it happen? Well, yeah, it did. But the claims and counterclaims and how both sides were denying it, and even all the Israeli sources were citing ABC News, and ABC News was citing unidentified, unnamed U.S. officials. It just really was weird. That's just the only way to put it. It was just really strange. So Johnny be good. How you doing, Johnny? Johnny B. So guys, we're in strange times. Here's what you got to know. things are getting worse. We're on a slippery slope, but there's so much deception, so much fog raw. Again, if you just join me, take that word and flip it. There's so much fog of raw right now. Let's call it raw fog. And so much deception, so much propaganda, so much denial, that it takes some time for things to filter out, for you to figure out what really went down. And you're not necessarily going to know in advance when it's really getting bad. So it could get really bad and you not realize it's coming. Or you could get panicked and it's not coming. There's been a lot of that lately. But yeah, it's understandable because we're in such a tense time right now. When you got things going off the charts, it's like, oh, what is that? So what I always tell you guys is that never panic. Keep your head on your shoulders, because if you don't, it might not stay on your shoulders. And really, figuratively, keep your head on your shoulders so it actually stays on your shoulders. You panic, you do stupid things. There was one channel that a lot of you tend to listen to, was making some announcements back a couple of weeks ago. And one of my subscribers thought it was all happening. He thought things were being launched, and he ran to the school to get his kids. And he was speeding, taking risk to his life. So it's kind of like, and then Kane Prepper actually come out and talked about this. Well, I know what actually happened because I heard this over a week ago from one of my followers who has a channel. He comes in here sometimes. He's in here. He's a mod, and I've interviewed him, and I've recommended. I'm not going to say who he is right now because this is a little bit sensitive, but he got concerned. He was going to school to get his kids, and he was speeding because he thought things was going down right then because of some of the things one of the channels was putting out. So, he could have had a wreck or got arrested. I mean, this is what, it's like War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, Crazy thing about Orson Welles was when they did that radio broadcast in the late 1930s, they actually began to broadcast as, well, this is so-and-so theater, this is a fictional, blah, blah, blah. But once they got into it, a lot of people tuned into it midway and heard all this stuff, and they thought aliens. Now, in the 1930s, apparently, people thought Earth was under attack from Mars in the 1930s. So even way back then, they were sensitive to this kind of stuff. That was, 90 years ago almost, over 80. Wow. I bought when I first got out of the Army, I bought a tiny little house trailer, got a half-acre of land, and I was going to school at night and working in the daytime. I was driving to Huntsville. My land was on Sand Mountain. The address was Albertville, but it's closer to Gunnersville. It's right on the it's a Sims community. Any it was on the western edge of Sand Mountain. And I bought half-acre land. The guy I bought it from had bought the house and property next to him. He had bought a bigger house, and his name was Ricky. And I put me up a hammock right under an apple tree, right between my place and his. He goes running up to my house, just like a scalded dog. Then he goes running back. What's this all about? I went and asked my wife, and at the time, my wife number one, I said, "Hey, what's Ricky running here like that for?" She said, "Oh, Lord, he's scared that we're at war." He said, the Russians he thinks they blew up Charleston. I go, what? I was sitting outside, I didn't see no big flashes in the sky. Power was still on. There was no EMP. I go, no, that can't be. Can't be. I'd expect to see some flashes of light up toward Huntsville or maybe down at Birmingham. I was in between the two where I was at the time. I said, or an EMP event making a flash in the sky or something. It was nighttime, I go, our power was still on. So, nah. I go down there, and there was a TV show that they put in the format of a newscast about Charleston Harbor getting hit. And he thought it was happening. So it was like the War of the Worlds. And I calmed him down. I says, no, that ain't happening. That's a television show. It's the news. No, it's not the news. This is a TV show. So these kind of things happen. And we creators got to be very mindful of that when we're putting content out. So power, deception, again. Yeah, all that could have been something just to kind of normalize the stuff to us. Maybe they put that stuff out to normalize us to that kind of stuff, or even to test people, see how they react. I don't know. That didn't cause wide panic. I didn't hear that anywhere else, but I've seen it. So that's why I tell you guys never panic. I have, like I said, heard other YouTube creators say, "Don't panic now. I'll tell you when to panic." No, wrong answer. Wrong answer. But a lot of people do get worked up over this stuff, and I'm just letting you guys know that you need to be discerning. Don't believe everything you hear out there, and keep a critical eye on stuff. And it's, yeah, we're heading in a bad road. We're heading down a bad path right now. And what I've told you guys, if we don't learn how to put the hatreds out in the world, which we're fanning hotter, we're going to cease to exist. I've explained that. I did that. You need to check out my video, a nuke in every pot, where I go in great depth. I'll probably need to revisit that general discussion and recast it in some other way. It didn't get many views. That's one of the most important videos probably ever put out there. I thought it would go viral, but it did. So I thought, wow, this video is going to go viral. Instead, it just went flat. What? I don't know. This is a big truth, and I may take this on as a big campaign in my life to try to help foster love. So, yeah, it's we've got to find a way out of where we're at in terms of all the hatred in the world. Because I tell you guys all the time, when you get down to the core, everybody's the same, except for sociopaths and psychopaths, and they tend to percolate up in organizations and companies and to the top and to the government. And you probably have to be a little sociopathic to be a government leader. And in some countries, you just get, authoritarian countries, you got to be downright psychopathic to hold power. So that's a scary thing. These people, they gain power by telling their people, "You're great, you're wonderful. All your problems are because of them. If you support me, I'll protect you from them, or we'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll, whatever." They all play that game, and they play us against each other, which is a tragedy. And I do believe that all governments are evil, from the smallest to the biggest. But the smaller they are, the better. Now, one thing New Days did is they actually unincorporated a town. That's a rarity. That's a rarity. And that's that's a big step in the right direction. So I told her we need to do a video on that, because there was so much corruption. How about this? How about a system? Now, a lot of you people believe that, we need to raise property taxes for education. You hear that all the time. Where's that money go? How about, in that case, it was like over $300,000 being spent per pupil in school. Yeah, where did that money go? Now, Alabama has the lowest property tax of all 50 states. You come to Huntsville, I can take you on a tour, and you're going to see ginormous, big, brand new schools everywhere. Ginormous, great big schools. But I'm going to tell you something. And we got the lowest property tax. Some of the best learning was done in one-room schoolhouses with dirt floors. Yeah, okay, learn some technical stuff. You need labs. Okay, fine. That's true. But it's the real crux of it is the teacher and the students. These days, the students aren't behaved. They run wild. And a lot of that's because of the corruption in the school systems themselves. They don't care. But the administrators in these school systems are often making more money than the president of the United States. And yet you look at their schools, they're failing. And then they bring in, when you give them more tax money, they just bring in more special assistants, their buddies, nepotism and everything. They bring in more and more, and they pay them gobs of money. But what's actually going to educating the students? Very little. Very, very little. A lot of money in, but where does it go? How's it spent? How effective is it? You can look around the school system today and tell me if that's working. You show me where there's a strong correlation between property taxes and school performance. Anyway, I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. I'm gonna go through the chat room here in a minute. I'm gonna hit a couple other things, and then before we go into any weather stuff, it's getting late. I don't know how far we're gonna go into that, but we'll go back to share screen, and we will. Here we are. All right, earthquake news. 144 earthquakes rattle eastern United States over the last 30 days. So we all know the West has been rattled a lot, and USGS tends to show that more. But guys, this is crazy. A lot of them here in Appalachia. Even the New Madrid fault has seemed to be waking up some. So, even up here, guys, out here, St. Lawrence Seaway, for my Canadian friends. So, brings us to the earthquake map. Let's see what's going on right now. Hit the refresh button. Actually, this refreshes on its own. I didn't have to hit the refresh button. This refreshes while you're here. Well, we've had a big one here off Mexico. 5.4 zapped to Mexico. Got a series of them down here. Guatemala. That's Mexico. Chile. Peru. And our friends in Puerto Rico seem to be dancing again tonight. Yep. And of course, out here, what's the Fiji? No, that's Kermendik, I guess, islands. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Off in Indonesia area. Quite a few up there, but there's always a lot of creeks around here. So I don't know. Yep. We got one over here in Iran. Bandar Abbas, Iran. I saw one early up here at Clear, Alaska. It's not showing here right now. Clear, Alaska. I guess that's close to Clear Air Force Base, where they're building a big antenna system to monitor for intercontinental ballistic missile launches. Which probably will make it a target, like Fort Greely is probably a target, since it's got an anti-ballistic missile system. I hope Fort Greely never is on the receiving end of anything nasty like that, because it's a beautiful place. I got a lot of fond memories there. Summit, Utah. I don't see any tonight at the New Madrid fault, but there's been a lot of talk about that lately. Space weather. What's up in space? Well, we got the Lyria meteor alert. So it's a good time to see a meteor shower. I think I saw 6 to 8 are expected every hour. You might see them out tonight, except you got a full moon. It'll make them hard to see with a full moon, unfortunately. No big solar storm alerts. Here's somebody tracking comet. The Devil Comet is just dropping down, so I guess you're not going to see it now. Looks like you got a little aurora activity. Nothing much, because there's no major sunstorms going on right now. And we'll come down to asteroids. Well, that's a group. It's interesting. So we're at the 22nd now. And so if we come down here to the 22nd, look down, as usual, there's nothing alarming, nothing passing between the Earth and the Moon. If you go in the past, that's what happens. We always discover them when they're close to us or just past us. And no, that one did not hit us, but it was a close shave. Very close shave, but it was a small one, just 2 meters. It would not, unless it was iron, it would not have went through to the ground. Anyway, and weather, well, it ain't looking too bad right now. Things are looking pretty mild, maybe a little cool, but pretty mild here in the States. So I don't think there's a real neat reason to go visiting and everything. Phoenix is up at 80. Hey, Cowgirl, how are you doing weather-wise? Sorry I missed the live tonight. I had to catch the replay. Greg, school taxes are a scam. Money mostly goes to administrative costs. 5 administrators to 1 teacher. 5 administrators to 1 teacher. And administrators are paid real highly usually. And then they say raise the taxes to pay the teachers. But then the administrators get all the money. What a scam. What a scam. That's what I'm telling you guys. So you got to pay attention to your local governments. In addition to the national, we tend to ignore the local governments because they don't make the news we see all the time. But you need to pay a lot of attention to these local governments. Anyway, guys, so stop the share. I'm read through the chat room, and we'll figure if we want to go through the weather anymore. We might just kind of spin around the planet and see what's going on. All right, thank you. Thumbs up, and it might be a good time to do a check on the see if we got any donations here through the PayPal from my website. A good time because I like to give credit where credit's due. And I know some people don't want to stay up too late, so I better check it earlier than later, and we might check it again before we go. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, Michelle Young, Kim Landry, and Winks. I don't know who Winks are, but so we got a donation, $10. Oh, Kim Possible, excuse me. Didn't mean to say the whole name. Salute to Kim Possible. Salute to Michelle. And who are Winks is? Salute to Winks. 10 from Kim Possible, 10 from Michelle Young, and 5 from Winks. Appreciate that. Is this the super chats that's keeping me going, guys? Especially when the platform beats on me so high, so much. Missing planes. You mean UFOs? I don't know much you're responding. Let me go to the top of the chat and scroll down. Alaska Soul's first comment I see is here. Nanny Anderson, author, Tracy Broken Wings. Guess what, Tracy? Hang on a minute. I've been looking to catch you in the channel because, Tracy, you have been smurfed. You now have a blue ranch. All right. Tracy has been smurfed. Norway's in the house. Good to see. 20 Prosperity 12. Insomniacs Unite. Mag Rising. How you doing there, Mag Rising? So we got a couple of Alaskan representatives. We got Norway in the house. We got Australia here tonight with Rodney. Who knows, maybe. I haven't seen Scooby Snacks in a while. Rodney, what happened to Scooby Snacks? You probably don't know. Scooby Snacks was a regular for a while. I hadn't seen him in a while. Trying to Survive Life. That's a good name. It's always a struggle, is it not? Thank you for sharing the links, Rodney. My Patriot Supply. Check it out while we got that special with the solar panel, and that's what they like to call a generator, which is really just a power conditioning, redistribution, and storage center. The panel itself is a generator. All right, Michelle shared a Goldbacks link. Oh, is Shaggy in here? Oh, yeah, Shaggy's in here. He's the first one commented. I think it's Scooby Snacks. Eduardo, how you doing? Strike hit. And I usually always got Greg's notifications on an old phone, but I'm usually sleeping. Gregory Knox, low altitude, low yield burst would be localized EMP. Yeah, that's what they would try to do if they were doing anything with Iran. One of days you got here pretty early. Yeah, she's working. She's training people there. Nikki King, how you doing? So the people that watch me in the morning with the coffee, the official news part's over. I should have said that. Will EP also go to the ground? Yes, Eduardo. The answer is yes. And that's been definitively proven by the Soviet test 184 over Kazakhstan. a lot of people got in their heads that it won't, but it will. An emergency blanket reflected. Well, there's something called Gauss law. So let's take this bottle here. Empty bottle. I ran out. I was doing glycerin and Nuke at one time, but this is an empty bottle. But let's just imagine this thing is metal. And if you put charge on it, like charge likes to repel itself. Negative charge wants to get away from negative charge. It's attracted to positive charge. If you put a negative charge on this thing, all the negative charge, which is what electrons have, are going to go to the outside of the, if it were metal. And that's the basis really of Faraday cages, Gauss law. And who talks to you about Gauss law? I never heard anybody, people talk about Faraday cages all the time. I never heard anybody talk about Gauss law. Gauss law is where it starts. On a wire, the charge is actually on the outside of the conductor, the very outside when it travels electricity. Now, metals have, they share the outer electron band together. That's how you can, that's why they conduct heat and electrons easily. They actually share that outer electron shell between them. The electrons move back and forth. That makes metal shiny and malleable. So, but all the charge goes to the outside, all the negative charge. What holds it on there is by going to the outside, there's still some positive inside, net positive, but the electrons are what's mobile. And they're trying to get away from each other. So if you add extra electric charge, it's definitely going to the outside. And if you hit it with a wave from the outside and pinching charge on it, it's going to do the same thing. And so if you got a real tight Faraday cage, that's where the charge is going to stay. Now, it's important that inside it, if it's your Faraday cage, that you have an insulator inside here. Like you put a block of wood on the bottom, a cinder block, a brick, something that does not conduct electricity to put your devices on, and line the inside of it with cardboard so your devices don't touch it. Maybe put them also in a metal enclosure, because it's how many dB, there's decibels. I mean, these things can still be leaky. If you get running a wire into it, that's a risk point of entry, which I've talked about from the mill standard, which heavily emphasized the shielding itself, not just the point of entry. There's more emphasis on the shielding. So if you think that just having a good shielded point of entry is going to cover your devices all through your house, the answer is no. They don't even meet the mill standard. Some of these things sold to people. And I went into that. So just bear in mind, I mean, it beats a stick in the eye maybe, but you know, I got a lot of questions about that stuff, which I brought out in that video. But so bear in mind that it all is based on Gauss law, and all the Faraday cages and shielding that's talking about facility level shielding uses Gauss law. Now they were actually using multiple layers of these, and that they actually had a waveguide within the system. And then an EMP Faraday cage shield outside. And then the point of entries are highly regulated and tested through many wide range of tests, more than certain devices could withstand. So just bear all that in mind, my friends. If you want to protect your devices, that's how it works. But that's what that will shield you somewhat from EMPs. So just keep all that in mind. That's what we're dealing with. Well, I don't know if this will update automatically, so I'm going to go out of the app here. Where's it down? I'll reopen it later. I can check email. And it should tell me I'm getting donations. Yeah, you see 3. Very good. So I did get the email notification. Sometimes they're a little bit slow. So those are things to bear in mind about shielding and protecting electronic devices. Now, if you want to have an electronic device and the grid goes down, unless you got some way to generate your own power, what good is it? Once your batteries run out, nah. So you got to be able to recharge stuff. How do you want to do that? And is your recharging means also protected? So you got to look at all these factors. And eventually all that stuff, if we fry a bunch of those long range transformers, the grid ain't coming back. It's just flat not going to come back. I can go more into that later. I've talked about it in the past ad nauseum. So I tell you guys to get hand tools. That's your best protection. You can protect your devices. I mean, they're force multipliers. They may help you in the short run, but over the long run, they're eventually going to wear out. And your likelihood of replacing them is diminishingly small over time. Replacing and repairing. But, if it's a cell phone and you're wanting to use the network to talk to your buddy, forget it. The network's down. It's gone. It's gone. Now, there's some aspect you might still be able to take a picture if you save your device. You might still be able to access files if you can save your computers and laptops and do your own little work like that, but outside the network. Now, some ham operators will try to have ham radio networks going for some time, and that might tell you if somebody's coming over the hill coming at you. So that's good enough. That would be good things, though. Take a house says Ritter seems pretty sound, says what many don't like. All right, that's what many don't like. And he may have been set up. That may be why. Because he was saying a lot of stuff people didn't like. So he may have been set up. That's possible. They do set people up. You got to bear that in mind. They do set people up. Look what's happened to the T-Man right now. Do you think all that's real? Or maybe some of it's real, but is it being overplayed? What do you think? And eventually they will start coming after more and more people. And with all the AI tools they got to generate stuff, they can probably just generate any evidence they want. So anybody that's an influencer may be targeted one day. Somebody they don't like, they may target. And, they may see all kind of people getting accused of things and being arrested. I don't know. I just flat don't know. But what I was presenting was that he was wrong on a citation of 1968 outer space treaty. I explained that in detail. I would have thought better of him because he's supposed to be a weapons systems expert. But I got it right. I'm a spaceman. I know what the outer space treaty is. I know where the von Karman line is, and I know that's far higher than you would want to set off an EMP to take out Iran or some portion of it. So yeah, catch it on rewind. A two-time offender. Well, I hope that. I don't know. He may be. If he is, that's heinous. Very heinous. But I was not judging him as a person. I was just talking about the technical aspects of what he was claiming. That's all. Give them California. They probably wouldn't want it. Am I buffering? Freebird? Says Nathan brother had a good interview with his guest. Which guest is that? But I still don't like the SR. What are you talking about there, Arnold? I don't know what you're talking about. BS piled on BS, make a smelly story. Oh, you're right, Shay. Well, that's why you come here. I can lay it out to you. I will put it out there. Sheila, Israel wouldn't want to waste one of the precious pilots. Yeah, they are short on people, and F-35s are very expensive and hard to come by. They wouldn't want to waste that either. So you can bank on that. So I think the whole thing's nonsense. And like I said, also Russia would be crowing to from the rooftop if they managed to take out F-35. They would love to brag about that. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from it. If that had happened, if Pepe Escobar was right, the Russians would be crowing to no end. It'd be all over TASS, Pravda, Russia Today. It would be everywhere. But it's not. Too much hyping. Amen, Sheila Dell. Some things are overhyped and some things are underplayed. Like I said, the fog of raw. And if you just join me, flip that word around. War is a Racket by Major General Smedley Butler. Amen. Amen. That was a smart guy. Smell the roast lamb in your oven. Well, that sounds good. Yum. I heard a lot of stuff about this EMP thing a day ago. Just no bouncing back about anything here. Okay. I got a lot of videos I talk about EMP on here. A lot of videos where I talk about it. Check them out. Talk about the aspects of it, how it would affect us. And it's off the charts. Off the charts. It would be horrendous. I've done videos where I've explained why an EMP would be worse than a full-scale nuclear war. But they probably come hand in hand. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe EMP would do us in. I don't want to throw all the nukes around. Because that would just put more radiation out and maybe even cause a nuclear winter. Just take down the grid. You're done. It may take a while to happen. With all the players out there that could do it, you might have plausible deniability about who even did it. Especially in a world where there's so many hot spots like there is right now. There's quite a few players in the world who would like to take the United States out of the picture. Red feathered tinned butter showing up in one of my local shops. Must be something good. Psychological, spiritual, physical preparedness. Yeah, you need all of that. I tell you to stay centered. You can't be centered if you're panicked. That Arnold says that is the power of deception. They gain your trust and then they abuse it. Amen. They sure do. Does anybody remember the early 90s? There was a sort of War of Worlds broadcast. Oh, that must be the one I was talking about. Yeah. Well, that was in the 80s, though. Late 80s. Well, yeah, it was in the 80s, the one I was talking about. Early 90s, I don't know. Now, they have rebroadcast. Now, there was a there was a kind of an opera, a space rock and roll opera called The War of the Worlds, done by a guy named Jeff Wayne. It was a musical. Oh, my God, it's a beautiful musical. I love it. If y'all get a chance, and most times when you find it, you'll find little segments of it. If you could find the whole broadcast, or maybe just play this, oh my gosh, it is lovely. Beautiful music. And he goes back to the 1800s as H.G. Wells originally wrote it. And he has the War of the Worlds occurring in England, just like H.G. Wells wrote it, the Martian invasion. And the music is just off the charts. It's beautiful music, beautiful piece. Highly recommend it. Oh, wait, it ends in with a broadcast where I'm trying to contact Canberra, Rodney, and they go offline. Well, everything gets normal and happens again at the end. In the modern day, age of NASA. Panic can lead to chaos. Breathe, focus, and decisions will be much better. Amen. That's why a lot of your monks learn martial arts. But, they were able to focus their energies and mind such they wouldn't be panicked. You go into combat, if you're thinking, you're way ahead of the game, way ahead of the game. Sandbags to make a corner of my basement bunker. That's a good thing to use, sandbags. YT decides what goes viral. Yeah, they do. It's weird. You can have the best topic, the best content. You can put nonsense out there and it goes viral. That's what they like. They like nonsense. I believe they really like nonsense. Larry Smith, I'm not a Putin fan, but I did like his last statement to the U.S. Putin said, he said, don't you Americans have enough to worry about without wasting time and money in Europe? Something to be said for that. Collectively, the European nations have more people and more GDP, and we're just shoving money over there. Of course, we don't have no national debt, do we? Our national debt is about to break us. I'm planning to do a video on that and upload it one for the coffee club people one morning when I'm not doing a live session like this. We're financially in grave trouble. George Washington said it best about avoiding foreign entanglements. Yeah, and all the founding fathers were on board with that. Oh, we got another super chat, I think. No. Well, yeah, let me go down. So, oh, yeah. What happened here? I'm going off the charts here. John Taylor. So is SHTF or is more fluff? Just got here and tried sending you SC several times. YouTube is making hard. Oh, well, thank you, John Taylor and Johnny B. Johnny B. Good too. Nice info, brother. Keep up the good work. And now a good kata in my martial arts background. Amen. Yeah, we used to have these little, the katas were basically like a dance, really. It's like a synchronized dancing where you practice all your moves together and whatever. You do it in the dojo. I've taken karate. I took American style karate, and I got up to the belt just underneath the brown belt, which is a belt right underneath the black. But I didn't really go any higher in it than that, because if you got the brown belt, you were expected to go to all these tournaments. I didn't have time for that. It's too busy to be going to tournaments, so I got as high as I wanted to go. I think it was a green belt with all the black bars on it you could get without going brown. Yeah, thank y'all for the super chats. That's great. Awesome, guys. Y'all are what's keeping me going. So, bottom line, guys, is we are in perilous times, and it's getting worse by the day. Our leaders are taking us here. They're off their rockers. They're just off their blinking rockers. That includes Blinken, our Secretary of State. They're just off their blinking rockers. We don't need to be going here. We don't need to be part of it. And none of this stuff should have happened. None of it should be going on. What we got to do is start interfacing with people directly and trying to establish goodwill. Because we cannot survive in this world with hatreds going the way they're going, with technology proliferating the way it is, because weapons of mass destruction technology has been democratized, especially with biotechnology. Maybe eventually even robotics technology, AI. And I don't worry so much about the AI itself. I worry about who the puppet masters are behind them, the person behind the curtains, the Wizard of Oz, if you will. Who it is, what they're really pulling. The House of Klaus, things like that. And just anybody that's got an axe to grind can be super dangerous. Small groups, small organizations, just small groups can come up with all kind of havoc. I determined that. I saw it when back in the mid 90s to late 90s and up in the early 2000s, I was developing rockets that could hit space from a garage on a shoestring budget. Just a few guys, a few girls. And I thought, it wasn't just but a few decades earlier, it took a superpower to do what we were doing. A superpower. And here we're doing it in the garage. And it dawned on me how technology was proliferating and what would mean in the future. And I started reading articles talking about how people are ordering genomes off the internet, then ordering all the constituent particles to build a bug, and how they could do it, and how somebody actually did it in his home lab. Whoo! Guys, are bunkers EMP proof? No. Not unless you make them that way. Whoa, focus is getting bad here. I mean, but you got to follow that mil spec, and it's very stringent. Very stringent. Winks is me. Oh, live your life. Hey, salute you. Live your life. Thank you. You be Winks. All righty. Scroll. I missed a bunch of chat here. I scrolled down there. You guys are busy chatting tonight. I try to go through all the chat. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Most channels reserve that for have a special member section afterwards when they go through things like that. I ain't had time to set that up, but you guys are giving me super chats very nicely, so maybe I don't need to do that right now. All right, I think I'm caught back up where I was scrolling through. Jalapeno butter is juicier. Jalapeno butter, that sounds pretty good. There's Shaggy. Well, I don't know. If I get a chance to check out Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, go for it. Rhode Island. Hey, Nick. Time to wake up, isn't it? I ain't gone to bed. It's time to wake up. Perfect. That's what is missing from the education system. Yeah. Just Mike. So, oh, shoot. Larry, George Washington said it was, but yeah, born entanglements. Let's see here. Weather boy, where is my Pip boy from Fallout when you need it? Hey, I've done videos on my channel, how to build your shelters, what to do, what radiation is, how to survive a nuclear war, basically, how to survive EMP, bug out locations. I've done lots of videos talking about all that stuff. And they're very technical. Alaska has a lot of permafrost. If it melts, it releases a lot of gas and becomes softer. Yeah. We all have a conscience, which is given us by God. Even 5-year-old children know when they hear a lie they're being told. Yeah, we get conditioned to it, though, when people get older, because they get a worldview where they actually want to believe some of that mess they're hearing. That's the biggest thing we got to watch is the worldviews that we acquire. It's called confirmation bias. Now it's a new word for it. But, thing is, everybody's got a worldview. Sometimes you got to break out of your worldview to really understand what's going on. And you've got to reach out and recognize that the people you're talking to may have a different worldview. And if you're talking, and there are going to be shills up when you're saying stuff that they think is wrong or they don't agree with. So you got to find a way to, if you really want to communicate, you got to find a way to penetrate their worldview. Sometimes you have to put on, see, we all interpret information to reinforce our worldview. Everything we see, we interpret it according to the worldview we already hold. Because we take in information through our rose-colored glasses that are based on our worldview. So if you want to understand other people, you got to put on their rose-colored glasses, or try to. And I did a video back, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I called rose-colored glasses. I was driving through Wetumpka, I believe, at that time, close to where what's his name? We got the channel Full Spectrum Survival. I was driving right through his neighborhood at that time, close to it. So anyway, and I bought these are the glasses. I actually went to a gas station. I found I need to find some glasses that are pretty close to being rose colored. I bought these glasses just to do that video. Anyway, so that's how you reach out to other people. Sometimes just try to understand where they're coming. Don't mean you got to agree with them. Just you got to find some commonality for discussion space. I mean, down inside, we're all human. Earthquakes, yeah. Alaska Soul sent me a chart. The earthquakes are off the chart in Alaska. They're also off the chart around the Juan de Fuca plate, and apparently some volcanic activity there. That's another thing that Chew Weather's been communicating to me too. So we're not seeing it all. USGS just shows some of it, some of it. Sulfur dioxide. Yeah, we get that from volcanoes. If the permafrost keeps melting, find the missing planes. Uh-oh. Paint the roof today. Well, that's productive there, cowgirl. Johnny Behet Greg, try the tribe email. I am to start a tribe here. And all right, very good. Salute you. Good. I'm glad to finally hear somebody's working on starting their own tribe, their own mutual assistance group. Very good. Everybody needs to be doing that. There's no time to waste anymore, guys. The time to waste is over. The dean from Arcopia has taken his children out of the public school system and homeschool them. The dean. That tells you a lot, don't it? Live your life. Winks. Good to see that. White. Rubber roof coating. There you go. Well, that'll reflect more heat. Yeah, I ain't worried about blue. White's more reflective. My roof in Arizona is green. Green Greg's. Green Greg's got a green roof in Arizona. All right. Oh, the Philippines is in the house. All right. Hello from the Philippines, Kevin and Kari Ryan. Salute y'all. I used to have a lot of followers in the Philippines at one time, back when I was talking more gardening stuff. For some reason, they like that. But I don't see them anymore too much. Maybe I need to return this channel to gardening topics, homesteading. I may do one of these days, open a channel on just living out of vans and buses. I spent, last half of last year living out of a van. There's whole channels that dedicated to that alone, and they do really well. Wouldn't be that hard to do. There's a lot of mathematics as well. Watts per square meter, what determines the survivability of your devices. Yeah, that's because the microwaves don't penetrate it. They're straight. You shouldn't put metal in the microwave. It causes a lot of problems. Yeah, I laid it all out. I went into great detail. I explained radiation. I told you exactly what it is, how it propagates, the different forms of it, and what doses, that's the accumulated radiation you get over time, what your exposure is, how different levels affect you physically. I went into great detail about that. Brian Perendi, how you doing up there from Minnesota? Oh, Scott Ritter equals SR. Okay. Alaska fridge keeps food warm. Look at Puckhead Trudeau. Did you vote for him after? No. Heck no. Join our Discord. Greg server. There you go, guys. Check out the Discord channel. There's a link to it. Alaska Soul put it in here. All right, just Mike. Arnold is my opinion. All politics should be dismantled. There you go. Well, you know what is politics? Poly means many, and ticks is that blood-sucking little critter. So politics is many bloodsuckers. Fits perfect. Many bloodsuckers. Anytime you think politics, I'm here for it. Just think many bloodsuckers, and you got it right. And what did Reagan say quite often? I believe he was quoting Thomas Jefferson when he said it. The government that governs the government governs best is the government governs the least. Boy, they don't have that in mind right now. They're just slapping all kind of stuff on us. Don't even want you to have a propane stove or propane heater. So that's why I came out on Swivelhead News with my little short called Propane. If you haven't seen that, go watch Propane. What was the last one I put on there? Oh, yeah, I got some cute little videos on there, shorts. I try to make them humorous. They do have a political slant to them. I don't know, the fear of an EMP is much more effective than an actual EMP. Now, if you get an actual EMP, it will be devastating. What? My screen just jumped all the way to the bottom. I was trying to read. All right. I don't know, 10 kilometers below the Earth's dirt, they have whole cities. If you go 10 kilometers down, but you still gotta put protective devices on anything going in and out. Only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Oh, Fort Bragg. How you doing, buddy? What's going on in Fort Bragg? A lot of traffic going on. I heard some military flights out here late the last morning about this time. I don't know what's going on, and I've heard he was in the hospital. I don't know. I've heard that Klaus Schlauber was in the hospital. Could be, Larry. That's doctrine of the Soviet Union. I believe China too. That if they attacked us with the weapons, that they would precede it with an EMP. But they do consider EMP a form of electronic warfare. The effects will be devastating. Now, if they could do it where it's deniable as to where it came from, that's why I'm worried about an attack from our underbelly coming from somewhere offshore from Venezuela. I was worried about that. That was something I was specifically worried about. And I get approached by this lady who milked cows, wanted to know what an EMP was. Then she told me this vision she had. She didn't know anything about EMPs. Of 2 missiles coming up from offshore Venezuela. Oh my God. Really? Could happen. Could happen. Then you have to say who did it. North Koreans are involved down there. Iran is heavily involved. Russia, China. Who did it? You wouldn't even see it coming. They might do it in conjunction with a major solar flare. We're coming up on a solar maximum. The sun's been real active. I don't know. Yeah, that's true, Larry, to take out communications. That's Arnold. I have a video of a lot of people should watch, which is made in 2009. Lady talks about higher powers such as, oh yeah. Now, the good thing about if you go on Discord, y'all can chat with each other, and you can continue chatting after I'm done here. You can talk. You can actually talk to each other. You can voice talk to each other in Discord. Hey, Cowboy Rogers is in the house. You're up late. Good morning, late night worm farmers and swivel heads. Pray I have a blessed day. Pray for you there, Cowboy Roy. Excellent song. You've heard it. Okay, Tracy. Imagine EVs and EMP scenario. Highway to Hell. Oh, that'd be a good video to play. And background, how the song Highway to Hell and show EVs blowing up, catching fire. Yeah, that's pretty much what it'd be. Lean-to with sandbags in my basement. There you go. That's a good radiation shelter. That's a good way to do it. You got the basement, you got the dirt, then you put, because you got the house above you that's kind of open, put that mass there. Yeah, lean-to. That is one of the things that's taught for how to make an expedient EMP shelter. And I believe we had a picture. I showed a picture of that in the EMP video I did. I know it's in there. Cowboy says there are hot spots showing up in unusual places over the globe, including undersea lines of heat indications, volcanic islands, and the Red Sea showing up intense hot spots. Yeah, things are getting crazy. Whoa, where'd that go? I hate it when I'm trying to scroll a little bit and it jumps on me. Larry Smith, can you imagine the price of gold if Iran got EMP attacked? Go to Defy the Grid, guys. Go to the website, defythegrid.moc. Flip that around like Nug, raw, and use the code Green Greg, so you get 1% off, and I'll get 1%. So it helps us both. And they got a deal on there, so if you can find a better price somewhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. You can get bars, coins, rounds, or my favorite, these little gold backs, which are in fungible, pure gold in fungible amounts. Like this is 1/1000th of a troy ounce. You don't have to take that gold bar and whittle off a little bit and put it on a scale. It's already done for you. You can stick it in your wallet, just like this fake paper money stuff. That's not fake. That's real money, whether the government wants to recognize it or not. Yeah, and if you also for MP cages, go to. I think it was using a paint section. What I found, I had some aluminized tape. It had aluminum on the outside. You can tape that around wherever the can lids are when you put them together. That'll make it tighter. Just make sure that tape is sealed all the way around, really good and sealed. Not duct tape, because it looks kind of silvery. That's not going to do the job. Damn vampires, it's politics. That's right, Alaska. So I think our ultimate goal would be just to get rid of governments overall. Have councils like the Indian tribes do. Just have tribal councils. That's as much government as you ever need. John Taylor, Greg, I need prayers. I started going blind in my right eye, and now my left eye is going out to. Oh, all right. We'll do a prayer tonight for John Taylor. They have a polytick slant. Polytickians. Many tickians, many ticks. I wouldn't know there, Larry. I guess if Elon wants to get in them with his boring machine, he can go anywhere in the ground he wants. Those things don't move fast, though. Brian Gunderson's latest videos, he's convinced of the global movements from below the surface. Dated a Klaus once. Hope it wasn't the slobbery Klaus. All the sun, how you doing? Whoops. Admit. That fear, you got a problem. What's his problem there, Alaska Soul? All right. So there's always these trolls that come in. You say that's fear. What? No, I talk against that. And if you're prepping, you need supplies. So, if somebody has a problem with that, they can go back and stick your head in the sand. If you got a problem, go ahead, go on with your little happiness and stick your head in the sand, but don't complain when something hits you in the rear end. That's all I got to say. The Army vet. One thing I learned while serving, only let the public know what you want them to know. Exactly. And that's all they're going to do. Here is my friend Brian Gunnarsson, Geomatic. Okay. Need coffee. Yeah, I'm going to have a swig right now. And what's my cup say? Chill out. So anybody here saying I come here, blah, 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 blah. You don't know me if that's what your claims are. You're just in here shooting from the hip, shooting off your mouth. Wake up. Be back. Okay, we're going to go here in a little bit. It's okay. We got it covered. I know you mods are great. So just for anybody else that's coming in, thinking stuff like that. I mean, how many times? What I tell you guys all the time: that people are good in their heart everywhere in the world, and what we got to do is overcome the hatred. I got a solution. So many other channels, all they bring you is the problem. I've chaired 2 power grid defense conferences. Why? Solution. I'm involved right now in 2 groups that are trying to get the grid hardened. It's kind of like trying to save a suicidal drunk. It's kind of what we're dealing with. Thank you, Arnold. And Shaggy. Larry Smith, those gold bills let the light through, but block out radiation from the sun. I might tape them to my clear plastic umbrella. Don't be scared, be prepared. Exactly, just Mike. Exactly. When I come here, this whole video, I came here knocking down a lot of, I've done videos knocking down a lot of stuff that people are worried about. There's a lot of channels out there with some zany ideas, like the crust of the Earth's going to slip 90 degrees, and tons of people fall and are scared to death. It's about to happen, No, it ain't. It ain't. No way. It happens after 1,000 years. It has not happened for at least 32 million years. And I proved that. Unquestionably proved it in a video I did way back. So, and there's been those other videos from channels saying we're about to get hit by a stream of asteroids are coming in, and I got this intel source inside national blah blah agencies, blah blah, and it's irrefutable, blah 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 blah. And he says one of them said by September nobody will be able to deny it. No, they said by October. I come out in the video in August, says no that year. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. No, no, no. And here's why it's not going to happen. Same guy next year is doing the same thing. He did like 3 years in a row. Big channel. So really? Yeah, everybody still goes there and they yuck that stuff up. It's like the people believe in Nibiru is about to, ever since the 90s, people have believed that Nibiru was just on the other side of the sun. It's going to swing around any second and whack us. And they tell that over and over and over and over and over, and people keep going back to that well and drinking that Kool-Aid. It's like, how do you keep going back and drinking that Kool-Aid all the time? How do you keep doing it? I explained also in the video why that won't happen. Why it's not going to sneak up on you like that. Why the orbits don't work that way in space. They don't work that way. The only way something can always be on the other side of the Earth is if it's an Earth orbit on the other side of the sun. And then if that's the case, it definitely ain't coming around. Anyway, so Elton John, we got Elton John in the house. We're saying Rocket Man. We got Elton Butterfield in the house. So, I've dismissed a lot of things that people are scared of. What I tell you to worry about is things going to take our power grid down, or sleeper cells getting activated, or, this whole thing, we're slipping toward war. And if you don't think that's the case, then you're not paying attention. But, I've had David Pine on here several times talking about how we could avert that. I need to get David back on here. He said he'd come back on. I just need to schedule with him. I've just been too busy to schedule a lot. I haven't scheduled any interviews for a while. I need to get back into that. Scott Kilmer, car guy. He's the one I used to like to watch. Yeah, there's a certain car guy video. He talks. He has a lot of sense. Funny thing is, they all have something to sell or paywall. Well, we all try. We try to find some way to get something back from Taiwan. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people they act like you shouldn't make any money for all the time you spend. I ask them, "What are you, a communist?" I would make 10 times more money as a Walmart greeter than what I make here on YouTube, including whatever I promote, because the sales aren't that great. But it's out there. If you need it, get it. But I've also done videos about going to box stores and getting stuff. I had 2 videos I did on that. And I actually went to the box store and showed you guys what I got. I said, do this. So, and I've also talked about survivability of canned foods. I got a video on that. So, but some people sell stuff that won't work. I've also dispelled a little bit of that. And some people do over pump certain things. So thank you for sharing the news politely. Appreciate your honest delivery. Thank you, Dixie Doodles. I appreciate that. Greg, I sent you a video on Messenger. Watch it on a time you want. Okay, thank you. That's what I try to do. I try to sell things that you need. There's a certain device that I could sell like hotcakes, because I'm the guy that talks EMP more than anybody, and I got a foundation in it. Oh yeah, there's something out there that I can sell hotcakes. It's got a 50% markup on it. 50% of whatever you sell is your commission. It's the highest commission thing I know of, and I could promote it better than anybody. I would be rolling in money if I was selling that, but you don't see me selling or promoting it because I don't believe in it. Point blank. So all you people want to come in and blah, 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 stick your head back in the sand. Like I said, but when you get hit in the rear end because your head's in the sand and your rear end sticking up, don't blame me. When you get your rear end mowed over because you ain't looking, tough. So I was suntanning at the beach the other day, and I thought I saw Nibiru on a collision course with Earth. Then a beach ball hit me in the head. There you go. It's fair game to have some fun. Maybe I should do a video and just act like, oh my God, just for fun, something stupid, just for fun. But do it like the War of the Worlds broadcast. I have to say it in advance, but people are tuning in the middle of, oh my God. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. It happened in the year 2000. I know that because Zeta Talk told us that it was going to happen in the year 2000. Absolutely. And then every year thereafter. That many other channels. Yeah, we don't even exist anymore. We're dreaming this. Of course, there are those that say we're in a simulation. So what? Those wires won't jumpstart I can't see that word there. How would they shunt? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You got a wire no bigger than this. And it's supposed to carry all that current. You tell me. Even look, in my video, I actually went through the ampacity, told you what the ground conductors could carry. I covered all that stuff. Who else does that? Show me one channel that has actually gone through and showed you technically what a wire could carry. And also warned you that, the main defense for EMP on the big generators is actually the ground connector. It's putting surge blockers there because it comes up to the ground too. E3 does. Oh yeah. And all that stuff does is cover a little bit of the E1 if it's a low intensity. That's really it. And I showed you where the spec call for certain tests. And I actually showed you the test data. Is that in there? Anyway. Anywho, people keep asking me about it, even though I do those videos, they'll still ask me about it. Oh, what about this thing? Well, if you just want to get it, go ahead. But if somebody gives me one, I wouldn't even bother to put it in. let alone pay $400 for it. Jeez, I'm just not there. It makes you feel good, knock yourself out. It does make some people feel good. If it helps you sleep at night, go for it. Most of the politicians are all on the same team. Boy, aren't they? They're just two different wings of the same bird, flip sides of the same stinking worthless coin. But they argue to keep up the illusion of government representatives fighting for the people. Yeah, amen. I tell you, all governments are evil. It's the only way to look at it. Then on the stalking episode of How to Catch a Troll. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had one visit the other night at the end of the video on Swivelhead News. Yeah, just come in insinuating a bunch of stuff. So really? Anyway, he knows he made me. Oh, give me a break. So, who makes me? You guys do. Who makes this channel great? It's you. It's the viewers. I just focus the energy here. On EMP Doctor, our friend Dr. Arbriley shows what truly works and has his own website, disasterprepare.com. Yes, and I've interviewed him twice on this channel. He spoke at he came to Huntsville and spoke at my last Power Grid Defense Conference, by the way. Good man. Good man. Better off spending that money on aluminum foil and wrapping your house and car. You know what? You're better off doing buying hand tools. Something's going to last you. Get a brace and bit. Get a handsaw. Get a hoe. The ones that dig in your garden. Yeah. I did a video called Know Your Hose. I had a lot of garden hose up on the wall of my log barn. But I did have fun with the title. Anyway, Tracy Broken Wings. All right. Good. All right, John Taylor. We need to say a prayer for John Taylor. You know what, guys? It's late. It's already 5 in the morning my time. We're not going to do it. The weather looked pretty mild. Trust engineers. They are trained on how to design things. Politicians just take credit. There you go. Arthur Bradley is an engineer. I'm an engineer. We're both electrical engineers. We both deal space stuff. And seeds, amen. And I did a video just recently on this channel. Seeds are worth, well, they'll be worth more than gold. It didn't get a lot of views. Should have. Hey, trying to get Funky Prepper from UK to do a video. Funky Prepper. I don't know him, but that sounds interesting. That's a cool name. Funky Prepper. Play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music now. Lay down and love me and play that funky music till you die. Till you die. Okay, we know I'm not a singer, right? Well, I do come up with my own poetry and sing a few of them on Swivelhead News. Much love, Greg. Good to see you back in Bama, brother. Yeah, I'll be here a couple more weeks and then back and forth some. John Taylor, are you going to the emergency room? Let's all pray for John Taylor, everybody. Let's say a prayer for John Taylor, Granny Lana's granddaughter, Kaylee. John Taylor has got, and my friend Dennis, he's been recovering from a stroke. We need to say a prayer from him. Some engineers are full of crap too. Oh yeah, well that's true. So let's say a prayer for our members that need it, and also New Days has got to go back for another procedure. She needs our prayers. And Cha has lost her house, and I don't think she's fully recovered from that. Some engineers are lazy. That they make terrible designs and they try to lay it off on the manufacturing people. I always tried to work directly with manufacturing back when I was in that phase. The guys in the factory floor loved me because I had to go out to them for the data I needed. Anyway, say a quick prayer. Amen. Should ask to pray for world peace. Do that at night when you go to bed. John Taylor. So we're not a religious channel. That's not our purpose. We're family. We pray for family members. I don't tell you how to pray. I'm not trying to advocate any particular belief. I do believe in a prior prayer. The reason I'm not trying to advocate any beliefs is I'm trying to be inclusive here, bring different people together. And you start advocating one thing or another, you throw a lot of people out. Some people don't have any faith. They are agnostic or atheistic, but even those people quite often honor the idea of a moment of silence. So no food. I'm going to fast all day today. Monday, last week I fasted Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I had been fasting on Mondays and Wednesdays for a while, but I'm probably going to do Mondays and Thursdays. I'm probably going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday again this week. So I know you like to fast, Larry. I've actually lost a lot of weight, guys. My shirts are huge. Wow. Wow. Do you have any idea what could be? Oh, Dr. John. Well, John, I hope you get some treatment for that real fast. I wish you the best with that. That's got to be a frightening situation. You know, a lot of people got a lot to deal with. Life can be rough. Life's always a challenge. I don't care who you are, where you're at. Life's always a challenge. Everybody's got challenges. Axe, hammer, saw, string line, measuring tape, pencil, bucket, knife, shovel, brace and bit, hole, auger, level, basic tools. There you go. I've used all of them. Yes, fasting's part of it. There's been some articles lately warning against intermittent fasting, which I want to do, but I'll do it for a period of time till I reach a goal, and then I'll stop. It's a huge wake up. I bet, John. I'm hard of hearing. I can't hardly hear anything in this ear, and I don't hear too well out of this one. And people be talking. I don't know what the heck they're saying. Even because I'll ask what all the time. Some people get frustrated. They think I really hear them putting on. No, I have a problem hearing. That a guy telling me my well was beeping. I walked up, I didn't hear nothing until I opened the cover, and it was a little beep, beep, beep. I couldn't hear it. He heard it. But my UV light went out in it, and I have an UV light filter. So it was giving me a warning message on that. I don't know if I want to buy another light. That thing costs a lot of money to put in, probably. I'll check with the bill company tomorrow. But, you know, I'm on my way out of here. I put a lot of money in this place. I'm heading out. I'll just have to watch it. I fast all the time. So when it hits the fan, yeah, there you go. You get used to it. You know, once you get used to it, it's not such a bother. It's not even an inconvenience. I find that usually after a day of fasting, I'm really not hungry. This next day, I'm hungry the first day of fasting. The second day, I'm not hungry. And I'm not as hungry as I would have been otherwise. Once you get used to it, it's like, I haven't fasted for 2 days in a row yet. I might do that, maybe even 2 or 3. And no clinical research. You know, that's probably right, Larry. A lot of stuff's like that. It's like all the attacks on eating meat. There are people that have total carnivore diets and are extremely healthy. In fact, some of the healthiest people out there, pure carnivore diets. But if you go pure carnivore, you got to eat some organ meat too. I didn't have livers yesterday. It's getting hard to find livers, especially at a restaurant or anything. The survival test, I don't know what that is, Rick. I've never heard of it. PD doctor, please pray for my daughter and grandson. Both are in the hospital after giving birth at 32 weeks. Okay, everyone. You go to bed tonight, pray for TD doctor. Human body doesn't starve when you fast. It consumes body fat. That's right. You go into a ketosis, a state of ketosis. You just don't want to You don't want to lose proteins. That's what damages your heart. And that's a good reason. If you're going to be doing intermittent fasting, make sure you eat protein. Eat some meat. Nuts. I like tree nuts. Ain't got many left here. See that? And these are not peanuts. It's all, there's no peanuts in this. It's all tree nuts. Tree nuts are rich in magnesium. And our diets are very deficient in magnesium in America. Now, you'll see certain things like sun seeds are rich in magnesium. No, they're not. Not unless the farmer puts rock dust in the gardens. Because what happens is when you get successive crop and you only fertilize with NPK fertilizers, these plants draw that out. That's why we're magnesium deficient in our diets these days, is because they've not replenished the full spectrum of nutrients. Trees pull from deep down. They get that stuff. Tree roots. As if you use wood to make compost, or wood chips, eventually you put them into your worm bed after they've composted down. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Rock dust. You need to replenish the magnesium. Guys, if you're gardening, add some rock dust. Azomite's one of the most popular ones to use because it's got a broad spectrum of minerals in it that are essential to your health. And you're just not getting that from the garden vegetables and the junk you buy at the store. There's some organic gardeners that regularly use it. So if you go to the farmer's market, just inquire to use rock dust. Maybe not all of them will do that, but a good one will. A good one will. I've used rock dust in my garden. I use a lot of wood product and stuff like that. Put wood chips in my worm beds, and then that stuff goes into my garden. Takes a while for it to break down enough. I have to eat, otherwise my body will eat itself. I've got a little bit different in the biology. Unused protein turns to glucose and stored as fat. Yeah, you don't need too much. There's some limits on it. And always make sure you eat some green leafy vegetables. Broccoli is very anti-carcinogen. The good thing about broccoli is it's rich in sulforaphane. Sulforaphane forms the glutathiones, which have so many healthy benefits. And microgreen broccoli is like 40 times richer in that stuff. That's why I like microgreens. Check it all out, guys. Anyway, we got to go. It is 5:07 a.m. It's time to wake up. I ain't even going to bed, and I'll probably meet myself getting up when I lay down and take a wink. Time to get up. Anyway, 20 minutes in the sun with shorts on, the body needs, you get the vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential. If you're taking vitamin D tablets or gel tabs or whatever you take, make sure to get some K2 with it. Do the K2 because vitamin D can get the calcium sludge going in your arteries and such. The K2 is said to get rid of that and put that minerals back where it belongs, where you need it the most. Fruits, nuts, and grains are the basic foods you can survive on with no health issues. Yeah, steaks are getting hard to afford. Although beef is rich in zinc, but tinned oysters got it in them too, a little cheaper. Hey, Nama's wife, how you doing? We're about to go. Microgreens, yes, I've grown a lot of microgreens. I got some videos. I was doing videos. I was doing a grow by series. I did one on. What did I do? I did one whole series I posted. Oh my gosh, the prepper guys went nuts. I hated it. I had a whole nother series of videos I'd recorded. I was going to post them, and I just never posted because people got so they hate it. Like people's unsubscribing, and my gardening videos go kind of flat over here. Well, I got a whole channel just for prepper news. So maybe I can return this channel to its original source one day. Anyway, we need to go. It is late. We've been on here for 2 hours. That's too long. I didn't even have any articles on here tonight. So thank you, super chatters. Thank you much. You've been busy tonight. You've done a good job. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, one and all. Just remember, we're in perilous times. So keep your eyes wide open, head on the swivel. And always remember, too, what I always tell you guys is light Light dispels dark, love dispels hate. Go shine your love light in the world. And again, thank you all for watching. Everyone for being here. To one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are.